you've got to make the hive as attractive for the bee as possible.
Hi, Nico here from Green Space, and today we're here with Elin at her ranch, Bubu Ranch? Sorry?
Bubu Ranch, exactly.
Bubu Ranch here, and we're going to be talking about bees and how to look after them to get the most out of the bees, hopefully. Do you want to kind of give us a little background about how you ended up here and got into bees?
It's a small holding of 25 acres, situated in Kanyanja area of Leopard's Hill. And yeah, the idea is to sort of try and make some money off the land at the same time as being a steward of this piece of land, which has been heavily stone quarried, and a lot of cutting for charcoal, as well as large smelters everywhere. So the idea is to try and figure out how can we rehabilitate the land, as well as make some money off it. So our approach here is strip grazing pigs through the land, as well as bees for honey and other products. Yeah.
And what kind of number of hives do you have here?
So at Bubu Ranch, there's several small apiaries dotted around the land. Also because you can't keep pigs with bees, so where I strip graze pigs is different from where my apiaries are. Yeah. But the answer to your question is approximately 15.
Okay. Only
15 hives. The majority of my hives are further out Leopard's Hill, and then I have some hives in southern province.
Okay.
So this is where we started. We started experimentally with a few hives 2 years ago.
And then this would also be where you process your honey, obviously. Then.
Yes, correct. Okay. Correct. And the idea is, you know, not to sell honey in bulk, but it's a speciality honey. We sort of know what flowers it came from. We try and, you know, if there's been a large honey flow, we try and harvest quite close afterwards, and it's been quite interesting to see how different the honey is every time you harvest it. Yeah.
But this hive here is it's quite active.
Very active hive, so we should be a bit careful. And I would say you would never walk in front of a hive, because that's in the direct flight path of the bees, and they can get very irritated. I have once walked behind a hive to level it out and place a rock on the back, and a bee has come around and dinged me and stung me, you know, even though I'm nowhere near the entrance, but very protective. And you know, the fuller the hive gets with honey, it seems to correlate with aggressiveness.
Well, yeah, they're protecting what they've got. They're liquid gold.
Strong colony. While some hives, you know, will have a secondary swarm, which is very small, and they're quite docile. While other colonies are more aggressive. That's just how it is.
Is there a specific to size? Because I see this hive here, which seems considerably smaller than this kind of pink one.
Yeah. So they're two very different hives. So what we have here, this white one that's hanging on a hook in this tree is it's what we call a Sumbawanga hive, and it's from southern Tanzania. So in top bar hives, you get the Kenyan top bar hive, and then there are slight variations in Tanzania. Okay. And it's slightly different, but the premise is that it's top bar, meaning that all your frames, your bars,
they sit down.
They sit on the top of the hive. Yeah. So to harvest this hive, I would put a harvesting table underneath the hive and lower the hive down onto the table. Of course, you do smoking prior. You would never ever approach a hive before smoking. I always light two smokers, have two smokers going at all times, and then you will gently smoke the entrance. If you see bees are entering anywhere else other than the entrance, you would smoke the entire hive gently. It's all about gentle smoking. And then you open the lid. And then you smoke again.
Yeah.
And then at the back of the hive, there's a half bar, and you use your hive tool to pry that open. You always open a top bar hive from the back.
Oh, okay.
Because that's where your capped honey will start. Brood will be towards the front of the hive.
Really?
Brood will be towards the front of the hive.
I would have almost assumed it to be opposite, because you'd think that they'd want to protect their brood before the honey.
Yeah, no, that's usually how it is. And then you'll harvest up until you start seeing uncapped honey and or brood, and sometimes they're together. A lot of traditional beekeepers may take everything.
Really?
Yeah, brood, high protein. People eat brood.
Yeah.
People will eat brood. But interestingly, in Africa, most of the honey is actually used for brewing.
Is it? Really? I suppose.
Mead, it's the oldest alcoholic beverage on planet Earth, way before viticulture, in fact. So people have been using mead for a very long time. Most honey is used for brewing.
Oh, interesting.
Quite interesting. But you can see on this hive, it's very active. I would think the field force is out full, but coming back
continuously.
and forth. Yeah. So Sumbawanga hive, there are lots of details other than what I've described, but that's a top bar approach. And then here we have, this is loosely based on a traditional log hive.
Oh, okay, yes.
But log hives are certainly not sustainable.
No, it's hugely disruptive.
Hugely destructive. You take the entire bark of the tree is killed, you know. So this is loosely based on that. You call it a fixed comb, or a meru hive is the other name for this hive. So you can use any material that you have that's, you know, affordable. These are offshoots of plywood and whatnot, some malata for the roof. And the premise here is that the comb is fixed. You don't have a frame or bar that you can take loose and cut the comb out. So if I show you here, around the back of the hive, it's actually quite a neat system, and I think why this works well in Africa is that it's super easy. You put it into a tree, it's got to be relatively level, and then on the back you have a harvesting door. So this door, all you do is remove the wire and you take off the harvesting door, and then you smoke and you start cutting out the entire comb from the back.
Just kind of...
Yeah, and put it in a bucket, close the bucket, move off. So...
But would they fill... The same kind of idea that they filling going down?
Brood is usually kept in the middle to the front, and it's all for thermoregulation. And yeah, depending on the time of year, bees will take more or less water to cool the hive and the comb down. So based on traditional African beekeeping, it's something that people really understand. I'm going to move away a little because these bees may send out decoy bees, because it's a very, very active hive, this one here. This one less so, but also quite active.
Yeah, no, I see a number of them flying in and stuff like that.
Another thing that's really important with top bar hives is that when you hang them, they need to be level.
Yeah.
So I actually, when hanging a hive, I go out with a spirit level.
Okay.
Yeah, and the importance is this direction, not the long.
Yeah.
And then you can balance out with the rock. We also, you can put these top bar hives same like this on a horizontal branch in a tree, or you can cut poles. We do a lot of Diplorhynchus here because it's a very common tree, and also
easily copuses as well. If you cut it back, it'll regrow.
Exactly. But the reason why I prefer this method is because you grease this hook, part of the hook, and it means that ants don't ever have the opportunity to enter the hive.
Yeah.
And in Africa, after man and woman perhaps, it's ants that are the colony's biggest enemy, and can cause quite a lot of destruction. So
any type of ant, or is there a specific?
Well, if you had the red ant march into a hive, that's it.
Yeah.
It's done. But all other ants, if the colony is strong, there is no problem.
Okay.
It's weak colonies. Beekeepers that do pollination for commercial farmers that are moving colonies in and out, they will be weaker. And then ants, hive moth, etc. can become a problem. But even what's it called? There's a large hive beetle and a small hive beetle. With a strong colony and with the African bee, it shouldn't pose a big problem.
Yeah, you'd expect a certain level of loss, but it's not going to wipe out a colony.
No, exactly, unless it's a weak colony.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the two types of hives that we're doing here. But I do want to experiment with clay hives.
Clay hives?
Clay hives, and potentially calabash hives in the future.
Oh, really?
There's a whole array of traditional beekeeping methods that are found in Zambia that one can emulate. This is certainly not the only system.
Would these be the most kind of economical, though, in terms of volume and ease of operation and extraction?
All beekeepers will have a different answer for that.
Fair enough.
There's so much written about it. A lot of commercial beekeepers will use Langstroth hives, where you have supers and whatnot. But in terms of management, much more complicated in terms of the technology that you need, honey spinners. This is, in my opinion, more appropriate for where we are. And you don't need anything fancy, especially for the Meru hive, this fixed comb hive. Easy management, and some people claim that you can get as big a volume on this sort of hive system as with Langstroth. Depends on management, etc.
And on where they have to feed and forage effectively.
Sure, but there's a lot of literature on this, and various beekeepers will have very, very widely varying opinions about it. But just for fun, we're going to be experimenting with a few of the traditional hives, just because it's a fun thing to do.
What kind of volumes would you expect out of a hive? Sort of typical, maybe.
I mean, you would like to have tons. If you have a couple of hundred hives, but yeah, I mean, I am collecting data on that, but right now it's just too early to say for this area.
Are there historical records from other people who've kept bees that would document?
There are, but not for Lusaka.
Really?
And I can show you what the data shows for the rest of Zambia. But there's a huge variability. Huge variability.
And then would that follow rainfall pattern then, with southern being slightly lower and then going more as you go north?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, we know that places like the Luano Valley and northwestern Zambia have some of the purest and highest volumes of honey. But I mean, my southern province apiaries are the ones that are doing the best.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think it's because it's on a well-managed farm, big winterthorn groves, and they're large honey flows all through the year. It's a dairy farm, so there's also pasture. lots of field flowers and so on.
Yeah, because then that would be essentially encouraging a greater variety so that the cattle also get the variety
Exactly,
as well.
exactly.
And what kind of, I know usually in terms of the harvests, I would think twice a year, but am I wrong in that? Or?
So yeah, in Zambia, you know, there's sort of a range over a couple of months, but its early season is May, June, when a lot of beekeepers harvest. And then the other harvest time is October, November. But it depends on when you hung your hive and when that hive was colonized by a swarm.
Yeah.
Because really, before you really should harvest, when it's worth your while, it's between 9 months and up before you can do your first harvest. So, you know, if you hung your hive in April, you can't really harvest in June.
Yeah.
However, I have, just because my father says you should walk up to a hive, and when you should harvest is when you can smell the honey. That's when you should harvest the honey. So, you know, it's no hard and fast rule, but in Zambia that's usually what traditional beekeepers do. It's an early season and then a late season.
Yeah. Well, because it would coincide with the kind of flowering periods.
Exactly.
That November, October, November, December, you've had the trees flowering at that time of year.
Speciformis, big one for this area. Although, as you can see on Bubu, we have Speciformis, but all very small. So are they flowering? No. So that's also something to take into consideration. But I am documenting, you know, what's flowering when, what are the bees collecting, is there nectar, is it pollen? I mean, you can actually visibly see, and we've got records on that. So just trying to have a bit more of a, I guess, scientific approach to it, because we don't really know. But there are no, you know, large scale beekeepers around here. People have a hive or two in their back garden. So even this is, you know, quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I was going to then say it'd be very interesting to know, since you've come and had the bees, would people have seen actually an increase in their own pollination on crops and things like that? Obviously, with bees around, you kind of hope and expect that would be the case. But
I mean, just walking around, there is more bee activity in the last 2 years since I've been here. But also, you know, a lot of people around are quite interested in bees. People who have a five acre plot, you know, they're always asking, you know, can you come and place a hive on my land for me and, you know, harvest it. But it's quite a lot of work, beekeeping, and it's not quick money, and it needs to be properly managed. But my approach really to beekeeping is touch the hive as little as possible. You know, a lot of beekeepers will go and inspect a hive several times a year. But my approach is, I guess it's more traditional. Yeah, you hang the hive, you make sure it's baited properly. If it's not colonized relatively quickly, you can rebait it, or move the hive.
Or evaluate if it should be in another
to a better location.